All right, here we go. There's the lineup. Artosis. He stares into your soul. He desires victory. Kripp. Friendliest man in the world. A gentle giant on the stage.
Smirks into your soul,
He
apparently.
does, he does. He smirks into your soul. It's a slightly friendly smirk, but it's also, I'm going to horribly destroy you with this card game kind of smirk. But here we go, Pally on Pally. It's arguably the strongest deck from both players going up against each other in a mirror match.
That's right, and we saw these decks as quite successful throughout this entire tournament. Artosis so far is 6-1, Kripparrian is 6-0, so both of these players have very impressive records, but Artosis has dropped a game, Kripparrian has not.
Yeah, however, I do have to say that both the Paladin decks have been extremely successful for both, right? We saw in the round of 8, it was pretty much exclusively the Paladin decks from both players that came out. They were the only decks to be shown. So I think they're both playing it a little bit safe against each other, thinking, right, okay, I just want to play the deck that I was successful with initially.
This is a great setup for Artosis as well. He can turn 1 Coin Knife Juggler, turn 2 Argent Protector, and even turn 3 Sword of Justice if he so desires, but you don't really want to keep that up there just in case something could destroy it. In any case, though, I'm very optimistic about his beginning here. Kripp has a little bit of work ahead of him.
Yep, Kripp is going to start destroying the stage already. He's pretty much the rock star of Hearthstone. That's the way of it. He was actually demanding no brown M&Ms backstage. It was terrible. But we've got the coin into knife juggler play, which is a very popular opener because it generally has a follow-up. And in the Paladin deck, the combo is great with that Divine Shield, because it keeps it alive and it gives you a knife as well. So yeah, I didn't really expect anything else to happen. He may decide to hold on to the Divine Shield if he feels there's not that many threats out on the board, and he can just say go for an initiate instead and hold on to that till later. But it's knife juggler or knife juggler potentially here.
That's right, and supposing, I don't think he's going to put out the Knife Juggler right now, though, Cryptos. He can do it, but it's just going to get killed. Okay, I'm a little concerned about this, to be totally honest. He's just throwing it up there as bait. Argent Protector's going to come in. Of course, he doesn't know about the existence of the Argent Protector, but it's still really unfortunate.
Yeah, Artosis is going to be happy with this, because not only does he get a knife, it's unfortunate that he didn't actually end up hitting the Paladin, because ultimately that's wasted damage, but there is the first blood with Artosis, and it's a great combo, and out come the emotes already. You can see just how horribly offensive these players are.
Jeez, all right, so this is already kind of a bad situation for Kripp right now.
It's not great.
There's very strong board advantage for Mr. Artosis. He can clear that board out with the Sword of Justice, and he doesn't even have to injure any of his Argent Protector or Knife Juggler combo.
It's the best time to play the Sword of Justice as well when you already have board control, because Sword of Justice ultimately slows your deck down a little bit as you play it, and that's a good time to do it. All right, Hammer of Wrath comes out, so if he wants to, he can get rid of that Knife Juggler, but there is a Consecration on the field, which is probably the better option. It's not the best thing ever, because of course you would love to get more cards out of it than that, just like kill more minions, but 2 is okay. So he's fine with that. He takes that out and then throws over the next turn. All right, now this is actually not ideal at this point. I would expect we'll probably see an Initiate out of this, because you don't really want to play a Defender of Argus on its own or the Spellbreaker. So there's that. He may decide to shield it, he may not. It's a 2-2. It's maybe not the best use of your Divine Shield, but it's not awful either, and it allows you to maintain board control with a 3-3 and a 2-2 that has Divine Shield. So that's not too shabby anyway.
Yeah, and it looks like another Hammer of Wrath pops out, so there are certainly removal options available. True Silver Champion is going to quickly take out this Argent Protector. He'll gain back 2 health, of course, for Kripp, but he'll lose net 1 after taking 3 damage from the Protector.
Yeah, that he will, and down he goes. So some damage already being done to Kripp. Artosis is still in a pretty good position. Aldo Peacekeeper, not really what he wanted. He's not pulling the cards he wants here. He could go Defender of Argus, which is not the worst idea ever, but maybe he would prefer to do something a little bit different, because Defender of Argus is not that good here, but it is better than nothing. Like, if you looked at the other options he had, okay, he only buffs 1 creature. That's not as great as it could be, but it's still pretty good, because he's got a 3-3 Divine Shield Taunt and a 4-4 there. He's going to get Spellbroken, though, so that's going to take that down to a 1-1. Then that's where he's going to come in. Kripp just, like, an absolute efficiency there. Destroys that, no problem at all. And Kripp's now in a good spot, because he's sitting on 2 Divine Shields with a 4-3, right? That's absolutely ideal. And Artosis doesn't actually have an answer to that 4-3 at the moment. I mean, he could go a Avenging Wrath, possibility there.
Yeah.
He could decide to use an Aldor Peacekeeper to weaken it a little bit, knowing that there's the possibility that his opponent then shields that 4-3 and gets preferential trades out of it.
Yeah, Argent Commander comes in here
That's
as a
also a
5-4 as well,
possibility,
if he wants to use the last pop on that Sword of Justice. That way he can take out the Spellbreaker, and
Yes.
he can destroy the Recruit, and he sits around with a 5-4 on board with pretty much no opposition.
That's okay. I wonder what he will decide to do here. He does have those removal options, but maybe he doesn't want to burn them on something that's not a massive threat. He's going Imp Master. All right, so that's going to both the... It's a 2-6. Yeah, it means more Imps, which is always good. And then he can Aldor Peacekeeper on that. We're just going to take that down to the 1-3, which is good. So less threat, and I mean, it's a 3-3 and a 2-6. And Crypt doesn't have anything on the board to kill it, but he is sitting on things like those Hammer of Wrath.
Yeah, that's right. So we can drop one in right here. And he also has a Divine Favor that finally did hit. But the problem
Ultimately
is...
useless right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Divine Favor, of course, is a 3-mana card that allows you to draw up to your opponent's hand size. But the problem is that Artosis has been burning through his cards very quickly. And it looks like, all right, it's actually an Argent Commander that's coming in to take out that Imp Master right away.
Well, the risk is that, say, a second Sword of Justice comes out, and then he ends up getting more buffed Imps, so that's fine. 2 Argent Commanders, a Spellbreaker, and Avenging Wrath there. Argent Commander on Argent Commander action coming in here, just totally fine, then trades that out, gets his board advantage back, and continues to hammer home. This deck is just efficient all the time. Great trades. And while he's using a lot of cards, it does mean that it shuts down the Divine Favor draw capability of his opponent there.
Although this is really cool, the Hammer of Wrath clears out the Archer Protector, throws out Scarlet Crusader on top of that. Of course, Abusive Sergeant doesn't do anything for him this turn, so we'll reserve that so he can get the +2 attack buff next turn.
Yep, all right, so that leaves him with, he could Spellbreak there, possibility, maybe not ideal. He could think about Avenging Wrath if he wants to play Rushdown here, because he's going to do a lot of damage with that and hopefully take that out.
And he will almost assuredly kill it. It actually gets it with the first 2.
Yeah, just murders him down to 10 health there. And that was absolutely the right call, I feel, from Artosis. It's a great time to use Avenging Wrath, but when there's just not that much on the board and you can guarantee kills and lots of damage. Takes his opponent down to 7 right now. Kripp is not sitting on Taunt. This is a pretty ugly spot. He is able to get rid of that 3-3, though.
All right, Noble Sacrifice. Unfortunately, he's only going to stop a 1-1 right now.
Yeah, that's not going to help too much.
Right, and it would be able to stop that Argent Commander that we see on the other side. He does have options, though. A lot of small creatures. That's kind of the focus of his deck. His deck was designed not to play this like board control, hey, I'm trying to fight off your aggression. His deck was designed to be the aggressive one. He's got lots of small creatures, Argent Protectors, Abusive Sergeants, Argent Squires. He can even throw those Recruits out there on the back of Sword of Justice and continue to just build up board presence. And then he replenishes his hand with Divine Favor, but unfortunately, he just can't do it right now.
No, he really can't. And unfortunately, this deck relies on being able to get that control on the board and maintain it, and currently he hasn't been able to do that. Quality comes out, I mean, that's ultimately one of the most useless cards you could have against a deck like Crypts, so that's not really going to help him too much. There's also 2 Divine Shields. Even if there was a Consecrate, it wouldn't actually do anything anyway. So there's potential rush here. I mean, Argent Commander can hit again, take him down to 3, puts him in an even more risky position, but even then, no, he hasn't quite got it yet.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said before, equality is useless. I mean, the Argent Commander rushing him down to 3 is not bad, just because he has so many weapons available. He could True Silver Champion right on top of that next turn and do all right.
Yeah.
There is the possibility, too, that he throws that out there. And yeah, he looks like he's just going to get his opponent straight down to 2 right now.
Yeah. I think that maybe that is the best option for him, because, you know, obviously, as you can see, Kripp is in a really bad way now. Noble Sacrifice may keep him alive, but oh, Ragnaros, that sounds great, but ultimately against what's on the board, it actually isn't. That's
not a good time.
No, and he's not been able to use his Divine Favor the entire time. That just doesn't work against Artosis' Paladin deck that's less reliant on a bunch of little initiates. It's more reliant on cards, so you never get the opportunity to play it. And let's have a look at what can really be done here.
Yeah, Abusive Sergeant is good here because he can cost-efficiently take out the Argent Commander there. All he has to do is use one of the Divine Shields on
but he'd rather kill the Imp Master, because ultimately it's more stuff on the board, and that gets that all the way down to that. Then places Noble Sacrifice, then Ragnaros. Now, let's see what that hits. It's either going to ping off the shield, or it's going to end up hitting his opponent, and out comes the Fireball. It hits his opponent down to 19. All right, now that is a board and a half right there. Defender of Argus comes out. This is problematic for Artosis.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much knows that's a noble sacrifice. He's got to know it's a noble sacrifice. So he doesn't have what he needs to quite kill his opponent off. And with a Ragnaros on the field, yes, this could be the start of Krip's comeback in a really big way.
That's right. He's maintained board control, and the most important part, too, is that not only does he maintain board control, but he's got a very large minion out there that Artosis doesn't have the ability to deal with. Spellbreaker turns it into a big old 8/8 creature that can start attacking.
Yeah.
Right.
Equality's not going to help because Noble Sacrifice is out. So ultimately, that's very, very difficult to deal with.
All right. Well, I mean, best possibilities now are almost just Spellbreaker, maybe another minion, and throw up Defender of Argus and pray and hope that the taunt is going to be enough to hold Krip back next turn.
Yeah, I mean, even putting out Spellbreaker is kind of bad, but I mean, what choice does he have? I mean, he could go Spellbreaker on Ragnaros and then Defender of Argus just to buff them up a little bit, stay alive. He's going to go for the minion instead. He can still do that. Obviously, he doesn't want to play Equality right now. That's not going to be what he wants to do. Out comes the Defender of Argus. He's gonna hold on to the Spellbreaker, and he's gonna go right for him. He knew. I mean, he knew what it was gonna be. It was gonna be a noble sacrifice. That also pings the shield off it. But there's a, I mean, that's pretty much dead next turn, isn't it? So.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to see how cost efficiently. Oh, wow. Actually, Krip can get through those taunt minions very cost efficiently. You can use the Argent Protector right on the recruit there, then the Abusive Sergeant, the Argent Squire, and the recruit to take out.
And he pulls a true sort of champion out as well. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the health to feasibly use it. I mean, he can use it to kill the 2/2, and that he'll still stay alive as he does that. But I mean, it's still a little bit rough for him, but he's definitely got a shot in this game going forward. The Argent Protector is going to be very useful for him. Divine Favor, if he burns his entire hand, he can get a couple of cards out of it maybe, which is better than nothing.
All right. Well, he's considering his options right now. Argent Protector is probably going to come in at some point just to be able to maintain one more minion against all of the everything that Artosis has on the board. Ragnaros, of course, will deal 8 damage to something. It's actually preferable right now for that Ragnaros to deal damage to minions, to be totally honest, and not actually go after our Paladin friend here. Yeah,
because if he's able to get that kind of level of control on the board, he can just kill his opponent anyway. He doesn't need to Fireball. All right, so Argent Protector is going to come out. That's going to allow an efficient trade here against that 2/2 and not have it die, right? Which is nice. So he could get rid of that. He's probably going to have to throw some stuff out to kill that because he can't just leave it alive. He knows that. So he's going to end up losing 3 minions to make that happen.
And he could, honestly, True Silver Champion and just go straight after the Paladin as well, just to retain a little bit more health. The Divine Favor is really nice here.
Burn it all away. If he wants to go after the Paladin, he's obviously going to have to clear that taunt out of the way first. There is a Leper Gnome coming out as well, which is nice. Then he does that, and playing with fire he is. But, of course, unless an Avenging Wrath comes out,
let's see what happens.
I don't know, man.
Spellbreaker and Equality.
Krip might have it.
Consecration!
Oh, no!
Are you kidding me? And Artosis takes game number 1 in style. What a top deck.
Oh, that's gotta hurt so bad. Ragnaros is like, what happened?
Artosis breathing a sigh of relief right there as he does take game number 1, and Artosis is just 2 games away from winning a BlizzCon tournament.